welcome to Denver Parks and Recreation at Home. My name is Sarah, and we have a really fun class for you today. Just in time for the Halloween season, I'm going to go ahead and show you a DIY Halloween makeup tutorial. And today we're going to be doing a skeleton. This is a really good neutral makeup that's really simple. It's really great, especially good for anybody age 11 and up to do. It's a really good way to explore the world of FX makeup without it being too complicated. And the reason why I chose this one is we're going to be able to explore masculine and feminine alterations. So depending on which one you would prefer, I'll show you how to kind of alter the makeup to match you a little bit better. And then on top of that, a skeleton makeup is something where you can just do that and just pick your best outfit and boom, you have a full Halloween costume. It's very user friendly, it's very easy, and anybody can do it. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. As we go on, I'm gonna be kind of explaining to you what I'm gonna be using, but I'm also gonna be giving you options so you don't have to quite have exactly what I have. If you don't have access to this kind of makeup, I'm gonna tell you where you can get this makeup. And we're gonna use things like Amazon, the dollar store, Walmart. So don't worry, you don't have to have high-end quality products to make a high-end quality product. Great? Okay, let's get started. So the main thing that I wanna talk about that when we're doing a skeleton makeup is you already have the blueprint. If you feel comfortable Googling a picture, anything like that, go for it. But you're painting on something that already is a skeleton. So I really want you to embrace using your features, because if you try to copy me exactly, my bone structure might not look the same on yours. So I'm gonna show you how to find your bone structure and how to map out this makeup. The first thing I'm gonna be using for that is I have this simple eyeliner pencil. Now here's the thing about this eyeliner pencil that I'm gonna go ahead and be using. It's something that's not very expensive, and you can get something like this at the dollar store if you want to. They have eyeliner there. Or if you want to have a higher end product, if you're someone that's really sensitive about your skin, you can get it something at Target, Sephora, whatever you want. If you do not have an eyeliner pencil and you don't want to go out and buy one, you're going to need some kind of makeup, and I'll show you other makeup that you can use. But I'm going to go ahead and just use this pencil, especially if, let's say you're a gentleman and you just don't want to go out and buy makeup. If you have a sister or a mother or a girlfriend or a wife, borrow theirs. So don't worry, this doesn't have to be a huge investment. So the three things that we really want to see when we're doing a skeleton makeup is our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. I would say fourth and a half is going to be our cheekbones and our forehead, but we'll get to that. So I'm going to go ahead and I want you to just look at your face in the mirror and take one of your index fingers and feel around your eye, okay? Now you're going to feel right around here, and I'm sure you all noticed this by now. You've had your head on you your whole life, that there's kind of an indent under your eye and above your eyelid up here. That's the hole in your skull, okay? So what I want you to do is feel for that, and I'm gonna take this little pencil here, and I'm just gonna do one little tiny dot. You see right there? I'm gonna do another tiny dot. Now here's the secret. We're gonna go left to right or right to left. It doesn't matter. But what matters is you never just do one. We're always going to go back and forth, back and forth. That's how we're going to get symmetry, right? Because we want to make these lines parallel so they look even. That's always a big battle when somebody's doing makeup. So I'm going to go ahead and perfect. Now one thing you might find, and don't panic if this happens, you might find that if you follow the bone line, one circle might be bigger than the other. Don't panic, that's okay. We're all human. Our skeletons might be a little different. Don't think you're broken or you have to go to doctors or anything. So that's why it's really important to go back and forth so we make sure they're even, because you always run the risk if you follow your bone structure perfectly, you might discover that one piece might be a little bit bigger than the other and it won't have even makeup, because even though it's okay if your skull is different sizes, for the makeup we want it to be symmetrical. So do you see how I've done the outside? Now we're going to do the inside, okay? If you're not as comfortable as I am, you can do just tiny little dots like, I'm going to go right here, right here. Make sure to kind of go in your tear line. It just looks better for the makeup. And then I'm going to go ahead, I like to use my eyebrows as markers as well. Perfect. And you know what, usually right in here, see how I'm turning my head, how I'm not just going straight? even sometimes following the rims of your eyebrows, your nose, this, it'll really, your ears, it really helps you. I think I want to put 2 dots right here, just so that when I'm doing my black makeup here later, I have a very easy line to follow. Look at that, like a Dalmatian. It looks like I'm getting plastic surgery. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing now on our nose. Now we know our nose is just all cartilage, right? So that we can't really feel the bone back here like we could with our eyes. So we're gonna have to kind of guess. The best way to think about doing your nose is doing an upside down heart. Honestly, just follow that shape. So even if it's not perfect, it'll get the point across immediately. So with our heart, we're gonna kind of have it go like that, and I'll show you what that means. So I'm gonna pick a center point right about there. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same center point, and I'm gonna go, you're gonna see my nostrils here for a minute. Hopefully I have no boogers. And we're gonna put it right here. I'll show you. I know you guys might be able to see. Do you see up here how that lines up with the dot I have there? That's gonna be where my heart is cut in half, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, same thing now, we're gonna do back and forth. So here on my nostrils, I'm gonna go ahead and just go a little bit under. Okay, then I'm going up, 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 up. I know I didn't go back and forth on that one. I apologize. I got into the zone. Look at that. See how it's a upside down heart? Perfect. Now I went a little too far over here. That's okay. I'm gonna show you how to fix mistakes when they happen, because they're gonna happen. So we might as well learn how to do it together. Okay, next we have to do is our mouth. Here's your first chance to decide what kind of skeleton you wanna be. If you are doing like a child and you want them to be happy, we're obviously gonna go up. If you're gonna be really angry, maybe you'll go down a little lower here. I'm gonna go straight across. That's a really good neutral face. If you're doing Dias de Momentos makeup, or if you wanna do something for a party, and honestly, I like to go straight across, because whether you wanna have a more masculine face or a more feminine face in terms of those features, it's just a really good way to go. And it doesn't matter what kind of features you're looking for. I'm just gonna use masculine and feminine as a way to describe how we're gonna go ahead and shape the face. It doesn't matter, it's not boy or girl, it's whatever you want. All right, so we're gonna go across here. So the main thing to do is get the corners of your mouth. Yeah, I'll hit it up a little bit. There you go. So we have our in dot, and I'm just gonna go out one more. A really great way to line that up, I'll use this brush to show it, is, so we're looking at the center of my eyes right here. If I just go down from my eyes, where that lines up, that would be where my other dot is. Honestly, you do whatever you want. I want you to feel it out. Obviously, this is art. However, if you're looking for a more concrete sort of floor plan, this is the way to do it. All right, we've marked off our face. So here's the next part. We're gonna wanna go ahead and we're gonna just draw one line across using the eyeliner with our mouths, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just, now do you see how I'm using this hand right here to hold it? I can just go like this if I want to. But if you're rather new to makeup, that might be hard. So sometimes holding and pulling the skin back will make a smoother surface so it's not bumpy. Or if you need to put your elbow on the table, or you can even hold just to steady your hand, okay? So just figure out what works best for you. We're gonna do the same thing for the rest of the face, okay? So let's go ahead and watch me do that. Now, here's the trick with the nose. Going up is always a problem. It's just how our bodies are. You wanna go down when you're on hard surfaces like this. See how I'm going down? And you see how I'm not trying to do one clean, smooth line? How I can take the time to, so there's no wrong way to do this part, because you'll see as we get closer. And see how that little mark happened on my nose? Totally okay. We're gonna fill it in black anyway, so don't even worry about it. There we go. Now remember how I told you I went a little too far out here? What I'm gonna go ahead and do now is we're gonna fix that. Now that I have the circle, it's really easy for me to see the mistake better than just the dots. I may have brought that up before and you might not have seen it, but now you can see how this side is bigger than this side. So I have here some Q-tips, or if you don't have Q-tips, you can go ahead and use a tissue, paper towel, doesn't matter, toilet paper. I have here a cup of water. I'm just gonna keep that always there. You're always just gonna want water, and I'm just gonna go ahead and take this Q-tip here and just clean up. Now, if it's not perfect, that's okay. Because like I said, we're gonna add lots of makeup to this and it won't even matter. There we go. See how that just cleaned it right there? So mistakes happen, don't worry, it's all washable. All right, let's continue. We're gonna do our eyes. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and do that bottom half here, and then I'm gonna show you some different things, okay? So first, I'll just start here from this tear line, tear duct. So I said it gets harder at a certain point, so you have to go down. So I tried going up, and my bone structure took me off course. So maybe from here, I'll show you, we'll go down first. And then we'll do the same thing down here. See how going down, what a difference, right? And once again now, if you make this mistake, we're gonna fill this in with black. So I'm trying to show you both ways so you don't panic if it doesn't go exactly like this video. As long as you're getting the basic idea, it's gonna come out great. So now I'm gonna talk really quick about some alterations we can make. I prefer a more feminine, more neutral look, so I'm gonna finish off my piece with that. But let's say you wanted to go for a more evil skeleton, something like that. My lines here, do you see how I put these two dots here? What I would do is, I have my dot here and I have my dot here. I would probably skip that dot. Do you see? And then if I complete this, I have a much more mean looking eyebrow, right? More like kind of like Jack Skellington, right? But then if I wanted to make it bigger and more neutral, more child friendly, I guess cuter is the word, then I would go ahead and continue this. And then I have a much more happier little circle here, okay? So just something to think about with the difference. Here, I'll show you on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one. So you see the difference? This one's gonna be like a lot eviler, and this one's gonna be a lot happier. Honestly, I wouldn't even use the word evil. Maybe I would just use grumpier, whatever you want. Sometimes, I know especially you'll get some kids, they really wanna be like evil, spooky skeleton. So that's just a really good blueprint. So that's an alteration you can do. I'm gonna stay neutral because that's what I like. All right, perfect, we've got this. Next step, you're probably thinking, let's fill it in with black. No, this is just our layout. Very, very important. Whenever you're doing any kind of FX makeup, honestly, even when you're just doing regular makeup, you always want to do the light colors first, because you can always put a dark color over a light color, but it is really, really hard to put a light color over a dark color, okay? So just to protect yourself from mistakes, you know, besides this little like thing we've drawn out, we're gonna go straight to white. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull my hair back a little. Once again, another thing we have to think about is marking our spots, okay? But this time we're gonna mark our spots with white. I have two kinds of white here I wanna show you. So I'm gonna go ahead and have a list of supplies that I use attached to this video, but I'm also gonna give you suggestions as I'm doing this of where you could find alternatives. So I have here a Ben Nye Clown White cream. This is like the kind of makeup that you might get at a Party City, something like that. It's a lot stickier, it's already kind of wet. And then I also have this Grafstobian white base. This is the kind of face paint that you see when you go to carnivals or street fairs. You know, face painters, when they're dipping their brush in water and then decorate before they do your face. So they're both equally good, they're just different. I prefer the one that like face painters use, but you might prefer this one. It really just depends on what you like. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start off with this one, but I'll show you how to work with this one too, because depending on what you've bought, you probably need to see it. So for these kind of ones, like the face painters use, you wanna go ahead and we're just gonna mix it with water, and you wanna get a good texture. I always say if you can see some bubbles, if it starts to get heavy, you could test it out in your hand. Look at that, that's a good white right there. So I need to decide where I want my makeup to end, okay? You can't just start painting because do I want it to go to my ears? Do I want it behind my neck? Do I want to do something that goes down to my neck, or do I want a clean face line? It's really up to you. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep mine small and clear, but when it comes to you, do whatever you want. So I don't want to paint my ears, so I might even just cover my ears here, and same thing, I'm going to do a little dot, so that way when I go back over here, I can look. Hopefully they're kind of the same. Now this is going to be a little bit harder because when you look in the mirror, you can't see the sides of your face. So you really got to kind of, no wrong answer. Let's just keep doing the same thing, okay? Now when I like to do an easy face, I actually like to follow my jawline. I have a pretty strong jawline, so that's an easy thing for me to follow. If you have a softer jawline or you're struggling, just make up your own lines. As long as they're even, it's going to look good. That's all you have to think. Parallel, parallel, parallel. No matter what you decide, it's going to look great. The second something is parallel and looks even, it suddenly looks just so much better. And I'll go ahead and do one right here under my chin. Perfect. Same thing now up here. I'm thinking I don't want to get any of my hair. So there, and then look at. So I'm pulling my hair back. You can just put on a bandana or a headband, whatever you're comfortable with, because your hair will, especially if you're like me and you have baby hairs, they'll start getting into your makeup, and that can be frustrating. Look at that. Perfect. So now we're gonna just paint our face white, and we're not gonna paint on the lines or inside the lines, okay? So this is just gonna be a slower process here. And I'm just gonna go ahead, look at that. I wouldn't worry about painting your lips right now because I'm gonna be talking, and then you may wanna get something to drink or eat while you're doing this at home. So we'll get to that, don't worry. So I'm gonna go ahead. Now here's the thing. Do you see how there's like streaks in my makeup? That means I put too much water in. So instead of re-dipping my brush, I'm just gonna go back, get what I can get. There we go. Now the secret to water-based makeup, which is what this is called, or we can call it the face painting makeup that you see at carnivals, is that strokes are key. So if I go back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, you can really see the strokes. But if I decide to go one direction and one direction only, you can see the strokes, but now we're starting to get a much even look. Now also with this one, you can go over it over and over again. So if you want to just leave it alone, we can go back over it again. Or if you don't want to use a regular brush, you can go ahead and use one of these makeup wedges. Same thing, you can get them at the dollar store. These don't have to break the bank. And I'm just going to go ahead and dab. See how I'm dabbing? You can kind of see the square marks on me. But this might give you a much more even look. See, look at that. Now I'm not pressing hard. Not like this. Dab like that. Now, I never really would encourage you using your hands, especially right now during this pandemic. But if you I don't want to judge what you have access to. So if you really are in a pinch, you can also just make sure you've washed your hands very well and just go ahead and see that too. So just know that there are lots of options out there. Don't feel pigeonholed to do it exactly how I'm doing it if you don't have access to everything. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. I think I'm gonna do a nice little hybrid here of the makeup sponge and my brush. I like my brush because I can get really clean lines. Look at that. And just so you know too, I'm using a makeup brush. You can get those anywhere, really cheap, online, at the store. And honestly, sometimes too, if you don't have access to a regular makeup brush, for stuff like this, a paintbrush would work. Just try not to get a plastic little kid's one. Try to get something that has like real like hair fibers on it, just for a smoother thing. But also if you can't and you only have access to a plastic paintbrush, I mean, like I said, it's not the end of the world. So I'll take my sponge here. Dab, dab, dab. Now, the thing about water-based makeup, and I'm doing this on purpose so you can see, so the makeup was wet, was nice and wet here, but I had wet makeup here. and then I painted over it. Now look, we have streaks. That's what happens when it's water activated. It can keep getting wet over and over again. You can keep reusing it. So because I painted over it, it got wet again and it created this splotchiness. So honestly, I just wetted my brush. I didn't even add makeup. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and try to even out. So that's the risk you take when you're using water activated makeup. And so sometimes when I have a really hard time with it, what I'll do is kind of wipe it away. I'm gonna give my face a second here to dry up and then coming back in that gap. So that's one way to do it here. Now, the Graftobian is really good for like young children, I would say. But if you are looking for a really good brand, when it comes to water-based, I always recommend Mehron. I don't know if they're going to be open, but over in Lakewood, there is a shop called Disguises. Or if you're here in Denver, we have the Wizard's Chest. They both sell that brand. So you don't even have to go to a fancy store. You can just go to your local costume shop. Or Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime. So don't worry. Even these fancy makeups here, they're really accessible, especially nowadays with the internet. Okay, so let's say I wanted to use my cream right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and use a Q-tip. This one you're definitely gonna need to have another wedge, or honestly, you might just need your finger. It really just depends. So I'm gonna go ahead, take this cream. I'll start on my forehead so you can see it. See how much thicker and heavier it is? Look at that. Now this is what they call it clown white, because it kind of looks like the white a clown uses. And look, you have to really spread it around. I think sometimes using your finger is actually easier when it comes to this kind. Now, if you wear makeup regularly, I want to remind you, when you do stuff like this, don't wear any lotion, no primers. You want to have dry, fresh skin. So see the difference between these two whites? And you can go heavy, and the difference is now with this one, you have to kind of do it once and that's it. Otherwise it spreads the makeup around. But with the cream, once you've done one layer, I can go back and add more, and it only makes it brighter. So that's another thing you have to decide. What kind of white do I want? Do I want to be really, really white, or do I want to be more skin toned? It really just depends on your preference. And this one though is going to be a lot heavier. I'm pressing a lot heavier. So the reason why I'm not a big fan of this one when it comes to doing it on kids, just requires a lot more pressure, which is probably why they use the water base whenever they do things like carnivals and stuff. So I might have two different whites on my face for this, but I really just wanted to show you the example. The water-based one is a lot faster, so we're just gonna go use that for the rest of this. Also, yeah, see, there we go. Let's go ahead and get this all in here. See how I'm just gonna go around. Now, if I get a little bit black on here, it's okay. You'll notice I don't talk when I'm going around my nose. That's because it's all connected. So if you're doing someone's makeup for them, make sure you tell them, don't talk when you're doing that part of them, okay? Look, I'm just gonna glob a bunch of white on. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take my cream here and I'm just gonna sometimes too, you just take your hand and pat it. Just really depends on what you're comfortable with, what seems easiest for you. Okay, try to speed this up here for you guys a little bit. Look, it's gonna go around. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and fill that in. Let's all become little skeletons together. Once you master this makeup, it's a really good go-to to have, especially if you're ever going to Halloween parties or if your kids want you to dress up with them while you're trick-or-treating. It's just a really good way to show effort without like needing to buy a full costume, because you can just wear this with regular clothes. I know if you have like a suit or something, that always looks really cool because then you're like a fancy skeleton. So it's a good ace in the hole. Okay, now I'm gonna be careful on these parts, okay? I'm gonna turn my head up so I can really get a good view. If you get a little bit on there, it's okay. Remember how it's easier to put dark over light, but not light over dark? So don't panic if that happens. You're gonna be able to fix that like no problem. I kind of can see the gap between my cream makeup and my water-based makeup because we did the different one on top. So I'm gonna attempt to try to blend it a little bit, but we just used two different things, so it's not gonna be perfect. Now, the less water I put on the water-based makeup, the tackier it becomes, but then you have to be able to blend it really, really well. So just keep that in mind. I would really suggest playing around with this. You'll figure out your groove. Now, we're not done with the white because we have to go back to our teeth. But we're gonna take a break from that really quick and do two things. Okay. And sometimes if you get frustrated and you're just like seeing splotches and you keep trying to fix it and it just keeps getting worse and worse, the best thing you can do is just stop, take a break, work on something else and come back. I know I do that all the time. Like you see, look at that. I'm gonna take a break from that. All right, so I mentioned that 4.5 thing that I was talking about, which is the cheekbones and up here. So this is where we have to kind of make something up. So if you even feel, you could felt your face earlier, your cheekbones, like we see skeletons, they go like this and then our teeth are here, but then all this right here, that's muscle. So when we decompose, there's nothing there. And same thing, our skulls go back. But we can't paint on our heads to show that. So we need to recreate shadowing to kind of make it look like that's happening. So once again, I'm gonna go ahead. Now I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. If you don't have an eyeliner, you're gonna probably need another black makeup. It could be cream like this, something you get at Party City. I have black and gray, but honestly, you could just use black. So I'm gonna take a brush. It's kind of a little flat edge brush like this. Let's see, where's mine? Yeah, here we go. This will be a good one. It's kind of like this. It's like got a flat edge. It's not round like the one I was using to paint the white. Same thing, go ahead, get some water on that. This is the Mehron brand again. Okay, so for your cheekbones, we just want to go ahead, we want to start on our hairline here, and then we're just going to curve down. I'll show you what I mean. So first things first, we want to mark, right? So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to try to copy that same spot over there. If it's not perfect, it's okay. And I'm just going to do like a little curve. I'll show you. Look at that, very simple. Let's do it on this side. Now here's the trick, ready? Now I can see it. So if I really, really wanted to, I could mark lightly where I think that line should, the bottom of this line. So you see how light that is? So that way I can and try to get, look at that. It's pretty even. All right, so then I'm gonna go ahead and just take my brush here and we're gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna go, see how I'm just brushing? Look at that. Very simple. Now let's do this end. Don't want your brush to be too wet, otherwise see the difference in the darkness. So what you could do is just kind of wipe your brush off with the paper towel a little bit. Now if that happens right there, it's okay, just clean it up. If it's a little higher than the other one, it's not a big deal. Okay, might go back again here. Now if you're doing this on a little kid, I'd probably say you're done right here. That's anything else more detailed and they'll get, impatient. Perfect for a child. But we're not children, we're teenagers and adults, let's say. I'm gonna go ahead and take an empty brush here and I'm gonna kind of just tap it here. Now it's dry, it's not wet. I'm just kind of spreading what's already there. Perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take now a cleaner round brush, get it a little wet. I'm not putting any makeup on it, I'm just getting it wet. And I'm gonna do the same thing we did before. And You see now how kind of naturally spreading it out? I would go up higher back here. Keeping it simple. We're not going to get too complicated. Brush back. If you want to, you can even do some more up here. Now if you feel like you kind of lost some of your color here, go ahead and just take one of those, that black brush we were using, bring it back. Not a big deal. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just lower this a little bit to match the other side. That's why we always go back and forth. Perfect. So one side might be shorter than the other, might not be clean. That's okay. We're having a good time. All right. So now I might try to go ahead and fix that white spot really quick. Now that it's had some time to dry. Now I'm not going to go too close to that black, because that is definitely a recipe for accidentally messing up what you just worked on. Perfect. Okay. If you're looking for a really good high quality white, they're all kind of different in their own different ways. So the best thing you can really do is just figure out what works best for your skin. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the mouth. So I'm going to keep using this. So if you didn't have eyeliner, you could also use this black cake makeup for like the dots and everything like that. So I'm going to use a brush, but I'll show you how to use the eyeliner. So the main thing I just want you to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to block out the inside of our mouths. Best way to kind of do is if you go, you kind of get a little block there. Look at that. Perfect. Or if you're using pencil. Great. So now they kind of look like a clown, but don't worry, it's going to make sense. We're going to mimic our teeth, and you'll see why we didn't paint it all white. So I'm looking here, you can see my teeth. Of course, now they look really yellow when you have white on your face. Copy your teeth. We have two big front ones, right? So let's do a line here in the center. Okay. Let's copy that. So two big ones. Now look how I'm curving my, I'm not going straight down. I'm curving the bottom. So they kind of go in. Curve them. That's how we get a really realistic look. If you are only comfortable doing straight lines, you can do that too. But I'm going to show you why having it kind of curved makes it look a lot better. So here, we're going to just do the same thing. A line down. Go past your lip into your chin. Because our gums are hiding part of our teeth, right? So this way, we're going to go all the way down. Same thing now, but I'm curving from the top. So basically, you want the round top and to bring it in. You'll see what I'm saying here. Hold on. There you go. And then you see how I'm going longer? Just like that. Now don't finish the bottom. And now these ones are always going to be smaller than these ones because there are two big front ones. What do we have next? We usually have canines. So really play around with it. If you want to use the pencil, curve. Now when we get to the end of your mouth, you want to keep going. So you want to just try to recreate teeth with the lines. So let me just, and now I find that I have an extra tooth on this side. That's okay. No one's going to notice. You just want to try to match. There we go. Perfect. If it's not exactly how you're imagining, don't worry. So then, how we kept curving, we want to go ahead and I'll show you. So right here, my line's curving this way. and then it's curving this way, right? They're both going one direction. So right here on the bottom, I'm gonna draw a little line going the opposite direction, and it's gonna create that round U shape that we want for teeth. So I'll show you here. I'm gonna go one direction this way. And same thing on this side. Same thing on this side. There's a little nub. Look at that little nub, creates a little U. Same thing on the front here. Now if we were doing it on this side, we go a different way. It's not super clean. You can see bumps. That's okay, because you're gonna see why, what we're gonna be doing in a second. So I'll go back to the other brush. You can see both ways. And the trick on this is just light hands. Don't think too much about precision, like you have to go nice and slow. Honestly, your best bet is to go light and not have it be as clean, because if you try to be very, very precise and then you mess up, it's a really heavy mistake. Like there's gonna be a lot of makeup on you. So this way, if you're going light and you make a mistake, what happens is, and I know a lot of girls can attest to this, you're trying to do your eyeliner, right? And you get one right, and then you start the other one, and it's not the same as this one. So then you add more, and then you add more, and then you add more, and then before you know it, your whole face is eyeliner. So you really just want to just take it light and embrace your mistakes. I want this to be a little longer up here. See how I'm tucking my lips in? That's a really good way to get straight lines. You see how they're getting skinnier? See the little, I'm not even gonna fix that, because if I know I'm gonna start adding more and more and more. And you see how they're getting skinnier here on the bottom? That's how teeth look. Perfect. Okay, so here's why I didn't want you to worry about trying to get the perfect shape. I am gonna use the cream for this. I actually use the cream for this every time. If you don't have the cream, you can still use the liquid, but I prefer the cream. I take a Q-tip. I'm just gonna go ahead and rub it all in there, get it nice and, there we go. Okay, it should be the perfect size for your teeth. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go right into the center of one here and just rub it in. And I'm gonna make a circle. Perfect. And if you look, it cleaned up my lines and it adds a darker white. Leave it there. We actually don't want that to blend, because now we're creating depth. We're making teeth look like they're popping out because they're a totally different white, right? Teeth aren't flat, they're textured, they come out. If you want to brush up a little bit with them, you can. Look at that. See how just using a different color, white, suddenly makes them look 3D? Brush it up a little bit if you want to. And let's just go ahead and do every single tooth here. So I was saying how this one got a little bit thicker than I wanted. So I'll just go over that black, and that's why I use the cream, because this is the one time where you kind of can put light. There we go. After a while, if your Q-tip kind of gets gunky, just switch sides, get a new Q-tip. Don't feel like you have to use the same one for everything, because you don't want to get any of the fibers to branch off and get makeup on parts you don't want. You can definitely do this with water-based as well if you only have one white. Doesn't make it worse or better. See, look at that. All right, let's do the bottom. And how I kind of have my lip that wasn't painted. Now you know why I wasn't stressing out about that. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this a little pointier. My Q-tip kind of like a cone. That way, on the bottom here, I'm using my hands. I always get really messy when I do this. I can fit the tinier lines. There we go. In between breaks, if you have to wash your hands, go for it. All right, it's about time for a new Q-tip for me. Because I'm twisting it in my hands, I'm kind of getting some on me. If you're doing this with somebody else, wear gloves. Perfect. I have paper towel instead of washing my hands. Now, if you see any little spots where your white messed up, good thing is it's always easier to put dark, but this is where you really want to be careful because you can't really just keep going back and back. So really try to make sure that you fix the mistake the first try. Cool. Anything else? I feel like I might kind of be pushing it, so I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. So we'll leave that there for now. Let's not touch it. We have these spots here. If you are doing a child, all those little details I did, honestly, I think just doing the circles once and leaving it at that is the best way to do teeth for them. So now we're going to go ahead and do my eyes. Oh, actually, really quick, what we're going to do is up here, I'm going to go ahead and take some black. Same thing if you want to use eyeliner. I'll show you both sides. And just right here, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little, just a curve like that. I'll do it over here on this side with eyeliner. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and just, same thing, brush it out. Okay. So if I was doing this on a kid, I'd be like, boom, done. But we're not. We're teenagers and adults. So I'll take the dry sponge again and blend it. Like I said, this one's got a lot more pressure on it, so it's not really fun for kids to experience this. Perfect. Okay. These seam lines right here, don't worry about them too much. If you have short hair, don't worry about it. If you have longer hair, I'll cover it up anyway. So just don't stress about that too much right now. So let's go ahead now. Let's fill in the rest of our face here. I'm going to use a different brush for that just to kind of make it go quicker. Okay, so mixing, mixing, mixing. Stay in the lines. Once again, we're going to clean up these lines. The lines aren't perfect. That's okay. Really be careful around your nose here. Maybe stretch your mouth if you can, like, There you go. There we go. Really good in there. Now, it might seem a little gross, but I have to say it. You probably have to paint a little bit inside your nose because you'll be able, depending on what color your skin is, to totally be able to see your nose. Kids won't like that. Don't do that to kids, but you know, if you can do it, do it. Okay. So I'm going to show you some changes here, okay? What I like to do and what's kind of just like an anatomically correct skeleton. So now that I've got it painted, we're going to clean the lines again, just kind of how we did on the teeth. So I'm going to use my sharp edge brush here, or if you're using eyeliner, make sure you sharpen your eyeliner so you have a really fine point. And I'm going to go ahead and really work on getting some clean lines here. Now if you kind of get to the point where I feel like one side's just a little bit bigger, if you feel comfortable trying to make one side bigger, then do it. But I would just be really careful because that's how we get that eyeliner story I told you about. So that's kind of how you do it. I keep playing around with it a little bit there. But just try to get some clean lines. But here's what I like to do. And this goes back to that stylized masculine and feminine thing. So I'm going to take this off a little bit just to kind of show you what I like to do. Also, if you want it really, really clean, just do this. Get a Q-tip, clean it up. Give it a second to dry. Add the white, like what I'm about to do. Just to kind of keep it quicker, I'll just use the cream because it'll be a lot quicker. Just real quick for example. Okay, so you have this. I like to do this. I think it just looks cooler. I think it doesn't matter if you're trying to be masculine or feminine. It's just a cool little aesthetic. Makes it more Halloween-y, and that's the big difference. This is going to be a little bit more Halloween-y. If you wanted to do something very Dios de Muertos, you keep it clean. So I like to do, I'm going to go ahead for my point here. I'm going to draw a line down the center. Perfect. And then I'm just going to kind of draw some lines like this. Make sure it's nice and wet. Let's draw one like this, a little higher, lower, kind of. All right, look at that. And then I'm gonna kind of draw something down here. That just kind of adds a little bit more of like a ooh, spooky kind of look. So I like this no matter what style you're going for. I think it's fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill the eyes in now. And then what I'm probably gonna do is real quick, mix, try to clean up this white a little bit. That's just because because I'm doing multiple examples of multiple different styles, my white will probably get spread around a lot. Don't worry, that won't happen to you. If you're sticking to one style, it should be fine, as long as you're careful and clean with your makeup. I also want to point out, if these like creams you don't have a hold of, and you're somebody who has access to regular beauty products, you can accomplish a lot of this with eyeshadow as well. It's going to be a lot fainter, but it'll work. And one thing I've actually done before, and I like the way it looks, I just use my regular skin for the white, and then I just use my eyeshadows to do all these like cool like patterns and stuff. So there's just a lot of different ways that you can recreate this look without needing to have the exact thing. Especially, you know, if you're someone who doesn't own makeup, you might have a friend that does, but remember, if you share makeup, you're only allowed to share certain things, and you have to sanitize everything. And that's not something you know how to do correctly, please go ahead and watch a YouTube video to figure that out, because you want to make sure you practice safety first with makeup, whether there's a pandemic or not. Sharing can always be risky. Okay, that'll work for now. We're just trying to get through this. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's fill my eyes in. I'm going to use a soft brush for that again. Water, mix it up, and let's just go ahead now. Let's talk about the eyes, especially if you're somebody who hasn't done something on your eyes before. Here's what I want you guys to do. You're gonna look up, okay, like that. If you can, if someone's doing it, what I always tell is I say look up 1, 2, 3. But here's the secret. When you're doing your under eye, you wanna go from out to in. I don't know why, that's just what works better with your two ducks, okay? So watch, I'm gonna go up, out, to in, perfect. Now, I didn't really get my tear line there, that's okay. If you're doing it on somebody and they're not used to makeup, if you're doing it to yourself, you're not used to makeup, the misconception is that going lighter is better, right? But when you go lighter, it's like, it feels like a bug, you can't really feel it. Sometimes going a little harder and adding pressure is actually better because you can feel where it's at and it doesn't make your body react. Sometimes you can't control the tics you have. You go into fight or fight mode. So I would just give a good amount of pressure, push a little hard. And then when you push harder, it's easier to go slower because you know exactly where it's at and it doesn't feel like it could pop up in your eye at any moment. So there's that. If you don't have any eyeliner to fill in your tear line, which is okay, just keep the tear line, no big deal. You can use eyeliner to fill that in, you can use eyeshadow, or you can use cream makeup. I wouldn't recommend using the water base. So let's just go ahead and let's just fill this all up. For this, go ahead and close your eyes when you're doing this. Now, if you're doing water base or cream makeup for this, you're gonna need to go ahead and let it dry before you open your eye. The cream might be a little harder because it never really kind of dries. And if that's the case, I'm gonna show you what to do about that right now. So let's say I have like some creamier makeup and it won't really dry. I have here baby powder. I also have Nutriset powder. This is something that you could get at like a costume shop like Wizard's Chest. This is something you can get at the dollar store. If you're gonna use the baby powder, do not use a lot of it. You are gonna use bare minimum. It's just not being everyday use, but because it's Halloween and it comes once a year, I'm gonna throw that out there as an option. The Nutriset powder obviously is going to be the better choice. However, it's definitely going to be the more expensive choice. So just do what you can afford. I'm going to just sprinkle some out here. You don't really need to see it. It's just like if you're sprinkling something on a little plate or a piece of paper. I have this little big brush right here. You can also use your fingers or your Q-tips. I'm going to go ahead, get my brush a little white here from this powder. This powder goes on clear. The baby powder doesn't. So just practice with that. And I'm just going to go ahead and dab my eye. Do you see that? And then I'm just going to keep dabbing it. And it should keep my eye from the makeup getting, you get creases when you do makeup like that. That's how we go ahead and we stop that. Now, I went when my makeup wasn't dry yet. That was my fault. So that's why I have this little mark here. So think about that when you're doing stuff like that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, do the other side again, and I'm going to let it fully dry, powder it. And I'm going to talk about some more stylized options here and some alterations you can make, some modifications for the kind of skeleton you're going for. Now I can already see and I can tell I have missed a little spot right here, and it makes sense because when I look at this one, it's a little bit different. So try to find those dots. We did draw the dots even, I remember. Okay, we're gonna let that dry. So while that's drying, and you see how, look at that, see those creases right there? Really important to really look up and get everything. While that's drying, for reals, I want to talk about some things you could do here. Now before we said we can kind of do like the evil face, but what I like to do, and I think I'm going to do it for this one, I kind of want to recreate what I did on the nose. So I'm going to go ahead and take my sharper edge here, and I'm just going to go from here. I like to do things kind of uneven. Sometimes the asymmetricalness actually makes it look better, and if you do something like this, kind of gives you the option to fix the mistakes that you made. You could even take this little black blender we were using before for our cheekbones and kind of just like that. Perfect. And then if we want to go ahead, take our powder again. I think it's mostly dry. There we go. So right here, this is really good for a kid, or if you want to be clean. This is really good if you're trying to be stylized or different. If you want to do something a little bit more Dios de los Muertos, maybe you would add petals here. We're not going to be doing that, but this is the kind of eyeball you want to make. I actually like doing this eye with masculine and feminine looks, and you'll see why in a minute when I show you how to alter it. So let me go ahead and finish drawing my lines here. Now I want my lines to be different than the other eye, okay? So let's see, I have a really high one here. So why don't we do a really small ones up here? I'm even gonna go into that cheek thing. And then I'm gonna do one really long one right here in the center. And I'll just keep it small up here. There we go. See how suddenly it looks like cohesive, but they're actually different. We were so focused on parallel, parallel, parallel. And remember I was telling you how the cheekbones here would be really good if you're just doing a kid, but we're gonna get cool and stylized. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here. I might even go a little bit above here. Look at that. So suddenly something becomes just a little bit more adult with just a little detail. All right, perfect. So now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you some alterations you can make to make this more feminine. So if I was somebody who wanted to just keep it blank, general scary kind of spooky skeleton, I'd say right here this is work. You could even if you wanted to just add a little bit of like lines here to make it pop a little bit, go for it. Very light, see how light I'm brushing? Just to kind of add some texture. Perfect. All right, so some alterations we can make. Boom, done. Classic skeleton, great. Put on your suit and top hat, costume ready. Honestly, even wear a hoodie, you look fantastic. Let's say you want to add some color. I'm going to show you how to add color without really making it any less neutral. Still very appropriate for feminine or masculine accents. You can get red makeup anywhere. You can get lip liner from the store. You can get lipstick from a store. You can get red eyeshadow from a store. I'm going to use a red face paint. Honestly, though, the cool thing if you choose something like red, it comes in so many forms, and it's really good color. And I think it's a really good gender neutral color. So that's why I like to use it. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. For this one, I'm going to take a tiny little brush. If you don't have tiny little brushes, go ahead and use red eyeliner. It's like your safest bet. So I'm going to go ahead and just same thing. This is a rainbow palette. You see this a lot with face painters. If you don't have a lot of money, I recommend if you want to buy something nice, go ahead. This is Mehron. Get one of these. Most makeup companies buy it. So that way, even though it's a rainbow, you get all the colors. So you can't use a lot of it, but if you don't use makeup a lot, this is definitely a really good way to get the most of your money. Or if you want to do a rainbow, just swipe the whole thing. I'm gonna just go around and do that line thing again, but I'm gonna do it with red, okay? This is gonna really kind of make your makeup pop. So let me see, maybe I'll do a couple lines in my teeth. See how there's no real like, how I'm not even like, it's not that clean, you see my lines, because I'm really just embracing that like spooky look. Look at that. It just makes it pop. So let's say you don't, like you want to have an outfit that doesn't match the black and white, but you have something with color, add a little color to match your outfit. Super simple. Now I'm using red, but maybe you want this to look just a little bit more, I guess like princess tones, but even that, I don't know if that's the correct word. So we could do pinks, blues, and greens. If you're like me, sometimes if I have colored hair, I'll just put the matching color on my hair. And then you don't even need to worry about a wig if you only have a wig a certain color. Really, the options here are kind of endless. It just kind of depends on what you want. What kind of skeleton do you want to be? I'm actually even gonna put some red over my black nose to really bring it in. You might not be able to see it really, really far away, but that's one of those details where when you're at a party or something, kind of just makes that extra mile, you know? Like someone gets up close to you and sees it and sees like how much work you put into this. Perfect. So this really looks spooky, right? Kind of like an evil clown. This is a really great way to make the red can really make you look like extra bad. So this is really cool if you're trying to be like a really scary skeleton. All right, but now I'm gonna show some really cool ways to turn this and make it more feminine, okay? And this, when I say feminine, I'm just talking about the feature structures here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead. I have this silver right here. It's the same thing. It's a water-based makeup. If you don't have something like this, I'm gonna show you the alternative. I'm gonna go ahead and get it wet. Now the thing about metallics, whenever you buy metallics, and I wanna prepare you so you don't get disappointed when you buy them at the store, they're usually gonna be translucent, okay? They're not gonna be opaque. These are really good for accents. If you want a metallic paint that is opaque, talk to the vendor that you're buying from so they can direct you to the right thing. Because every brand has different stuff. So I have this silver here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add soft accents. So we were doing sharp lines before, but now to add some more feminine looks, I'm gonna find round soft spots and I'm gonna add accents. This will be, I'll show you what I mean. So with this silver, I'm just gonna go ahead and curve with it. Maybe I'll do some soft accents here. Let's do one up on this one too. Okay, adding just a little bit of the silver here. It's gonna be a little bit harder to see on camera, but it's just gonna add another layer of texturing that just makes you look a little less abrasive. Next, the way you could add to make things more feminine. I have here an Urban Decay black eyeshadow. You can go to dollar store, get eyeshadow, go to Target, e.l.f., but what makes this eyeshadow a little bit more feminine has glitter in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take just a brush here, and now I'm gonna fill in, basically repaint my black. If you wanna have a feminine look no matter what, this is still the order you have to do it. You can just do black eyeshadow, but it won't be as dark. So I'm just gonna go ahead now. Instead of using that baby powder, the Nutri-Set, I'm gonna go ahead, look at that almost immediately. I don't know if you can see the glitter there, but remember, doesn't matter what you identify as, glitter is for everybody, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There you go. Same thing, I'm gonna use this little glitter brush, kind of try to get on that black that I made. Go ahead and get that in here. Try not to go over that red that you just put in. You worked really hard on it. Same thing. I'm starting to get a little bit more glam now. Okay. For your lips, your best bet is just kind of try to get the lips a little bit. Definitely want to get over here. With this one, I'm just going to kind of brush with it. Make sure you don't get all that hair that gets stuck in you. Okay. There's that. Another really good way, I won't show you how to do that, it can take a long time. If you want to get big, giant, fake eyelashes, like feather ones or like that too, it's a really good way to make your eyes pop. For now, we're just going to throw on some simple mascara. And then the other thing I would like to do, these are all different things. You don't have to do all of these. Just find what works for you. So what I like to do is if I have my cream up here, which I just touched. But if I want to just go ahead really quick and just take some white cream makeup, I can kind of get my face a little accented here. Think about where you highlight on your face. So we kind of highlight here, right? I have regular store craft fine glitter, okay? Make sure not to get it in your eyes, but honestly, the fine craft glitter, makeup glitter, it's all the same, and I'm just gonna take where I put that contour. Look at that. Just sticks right on. Let's go ahead and do it to the other side. The more sparkles you want, go for it. I think I'm gonna put some up here. Maybe I'll just do a light touch of glitter all over. Just a light one down here. It won't stick as much, so it'll make my contour pop a lot more. Make sure if you have to just blow your face out, whatever you have to do. All right. I'm gonna go ahead, pop on some mascara real quick, and then I'm gonna talk about one last thing while I'm doing this. So the next thing we're gonna go ahead and do, just for one last pop, and I wanna, the reason why I'm putting on mascara is I really want you to see the difference in my eyes, which is why I'm also recommending fake eyelashes because it'll really make them pop. But one thing we kind of forget when we're doing this kind of makeup is how much just mascara can make a difference on a makeup if that's something you really want to have that look on. Because we see the all black and we're like, okay, cool, it's done. But even doing some in the bottom here, if you look, you can see my eyelash, even just with a little mascara, you can see my eyes here. And even if you can't, I promise you in person, it's going to make a difference. So I always say go for it. If you have a different color eyeliner, you could also do a wing eyeliner on here. That could also make you give some more feminine eye features. But I think at the end of the day, mascara and maybe some big fake eyelashes are just the way to go. You can really get good Halloween fake eyelashes, believe it or not, at Walmart. They're not very expensive. You just gotta make sure that you have the right eyelash glue. I recommend Duo. There are a lot of other good brands out there. Find what works for you. If this is your first time doing something like this, once again, I always say, go ask the person who's working in the makeup counter. They'll be able to help you. Now, the last thing, I have some that are self-adhesive, but let's say you really want me to go for it. We're going like real glam. I have Rhinestones. These guys are self-adhesive. Other ways you can put them on. Eyelash glue. Other ways you can put them on. FX makeup glue. Whichever route you decide, just talk to somebody. Whenever it comes to glues, it's really important that you read the directions because everybody has different skin. I don't want anybody to accidentally get an allergic reaction. But since they're self-adhesive, I don't need tweezers. But let's see now because I put on a lot of makeup, so hopefully it'll stick. Yes. So let's say I want to do something right there. Maybe I want to match it, so I'll put one here. And now if you really want to like these like lines and stuff, what I like to do to kind of bring it in, I like to go right in here in the tear duct. See what a difference, just like those, right? Because it's elongating my eyes. That's the secret here to that, in case you're wondering. That's why whenever you see like beauty bloggers, they do stuff like this, it elongates their eyes. Now the other thing too is I'm gonna keep my hair down, but if you're somebody that wants to have a good, real, full match, if you don't have a wig or a top hat or something, look for a scrap piece of fabric. I honestly just found this one. I'm gonna show you how much of a scrap piece of fabric it is. Ready? Look at it. It's like cut wrong. That's okay. Because the cool part about this, why I wanted to show you the skeleton makeup is, skeleton makeup does all the work. Anything else you add on is just extra. So then what I like to go ahead and do, I'll go ahead and I'll just, maybe I found these tassels. I got this at a thrift store. Look at that. Maybe I'll just go ahead and I'll wrap this around. Look at that. And I could just wear all black. or I could just wear a dress, something like that. But doing something like this, look at that, adding just that little extra, and this could just be a scarf from the thrift store. Suddenly we had, like, remember how we just looked really scary and evil and masculine before? And now we have a very soft, feminine look, the rhinestones and the glitter, but it's still just, it's very versatile. It's a great costume. So once again, big reminders, please don't share makeup unless you're doing the proper sanitation, which is something you can look up. Remember to always look at ingredients so that you make sure your skin is protected. And remember that you don't need to break the bank, and there's a lot of resources everywhere. And this is just a great way for even the family to all have matching costumes. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I will go ahead and I'll make sure my supply list is posted with this video. And I want everybody to have a happy Halloween and a happy Dias de Muertos. Have a great day.